Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, as promised, I'm continuing with the latest episode of Ly Hoai Ca's journey, the young woman who has endured countless storms, losses, and twists of fate that once seemed impossible to overcome. And yet, the miracle she had longed for finally happened in the most unexpected way. After so many years of separation, Hoai Ca has finally found her biological mother. That moment passed quickly, but it carved itself deeply into the hearts of those who witnessed it. When the door opened, when their eyes accidentally met, it was as if time stopped for both of them. All the lonely years, the silent waiting, the old wounds that never truly healed, everything burst open at once. Hoai Ca froze, staring wide-eyed, unable to believe what she was seeing. The middle-aged woman with short hair, sharp features, and eyes filled with sorrow was her mother. The mother she searched for in despair, cried for until she collapsed, dreamed of every night only to wake up to cold emptiness. And then, as if an invisible thread pulled them together, Hoai Ca rushed forward and embraced her. They held each other tightly, trembling through choked sobs. No words could come out, because nothing they could say was enough to express the years of pain bottled inside. Tears streamed down the mother's face, reflecting the agony she had carried for so long, the agony of losing a child, of living in guilt and hopelessness, of waking each day praying for a miracle to bring her daughter back. As for Hoai Ca, she cried like a child, as if every layer of strength she had built up over the years had been peeled away, leaving only a fragile heart longing for a mother's warmth. The pain and longing she had carried for so long seemed to dissolve entirely in that moment of reunion, a moment she would never forget for the rest of her life. But what Hoai Ca didn't know was that behind her mother's overwhelming emotion lay something more, a wish she had kept hidden, waiting for the right time to reveal. A wish that could change the future of Hoai Ca, of Tony, and even of Hùng. Something that made the next morning feel strangely different, though Hoai Ca had yet to notice. The following morning, a gentle knock echoed at the door. When she opened it, her mother was standing there, her face bright and lively. No one would have guessed that she had cried until her voice broke the night before. She was neatly dressed, lightly made up, clearly prepared for this day. "Hoai Ca," her mother said warmly as she stepped inside. "Today I want to take you and little Tony out. I want to make up, even just a little, for the years we've lost. Just one day, as long as the three of us are together." The words made Hoai Ca pause. Not because she wanted to refuse, but because a strange wave of emotion rose inside her. Joy mixed with nervousness, excitement mixed with an unspoken worry. Finding her mother was the greatest blessing of her life. Yet at the same time, a new family had also formed between her, Tony, and Hùng. Everything was more complicated than ever. Hùng, who had been standing near the door, quietly observed. His gaze shifted from a mother to Hoai Ca, then to Tony. He knew how much this moment meant to her. Blood ties, something she had always yearned for, had finally returned. Even though he felt a faint sense of unease, as if the mother was still hiding something, he chose to support them. Hùng gave a gentle nod and said sincerely, "Mother, please take Hoai Ca and Tony out today. I think the three of you really need this time together." But deep down, an undefined worry tugged at him, a feeling he couldn't quite explain. All he knew was that he wanted to protect Hoai Ca from anything that could hurt her again. Hoai Ca's mother took her and Tony to an upscale shopping mall, the kind of place Hoai Ca had only ever seen in advertisements or short videos online. From the moment she stepped inside, the entire space before her felt overwhelming. Large boutiques glowing with warm golden lights made every displayed item look like a piece of art. Famous brands she had only heard about on TV, at the market, or in passing conversations, now appearing right in front of her. She had never imagined that one day she would enter such places, much less be guided by the hand of someone like her mother. And the children's play area was huge and dazzling. Tony's eyes widened the moment he saw it, and he sprinted forward like a little bird freed from its cage. He ran from slide to ball pit, from tunnels to climbing nets, laughing so loudly that anyone walking past couldn't help but smile. Hoai Ca's mother watched him, her eyes glistening, as though Tony's laughter alone could ease years of sorrow. She kept turning to Hoai Ca, gently stroking her hair, holding her hand with the tenderness of a mother who once lost her child and now was terrified to look away. After letting Tony play for a while, she brought them to a large children's clothing store. Within minutes, Tony had several new outfits chosen with care. Soft fabrics, warm colors, bright designs. Hoai Ca grew embarrassed each time she saw the prices, but whenever she hesitated, her mother would smile and say softly, "Don't worry, dear. This is just a small gift for my grandson. I've been gone far too long." Those words alone made Hoai Ca's heart melt. She couldn't refuse. Next, her mother led her into a high-end women's dress boutique. The place was so luxurious that Hoai Ca only dared to take small steps. A staff member opened a glass display and presented a delicate, cloud-like dress, elegant and refined. "Try this one on, it suits you beautifully." Hoai Ca froze for a moment. She had worn dresses before, but only simple, inexpensive ones. This dress clearly belonged to another world. She entered the fitting room feeling both excited and shy. When she closed the curtain and looked into the mirror, she barely recognized the girl staring back. A graceful silhouette, soft, feminine lines, an elegance she had never believed she possessed. She lifted a trembling hand to the mirror and whispered, "Is this really me?" The reflection showed a completely different Hoai Ca, no longer the worn-out, modest girl she saw every day, but someone gentle, refined, almost dreamlike. When she stepped out, her mother's eyes immediately reddened. "So beautiful, my daughter is so beautiful. I wish I could have watched you grow into this." Hoai Ca bowed her head, overwhelmed, unable to speak. After shopping, they went to a luxury restaurant on the top floor of the mall. From the wide glass windows, the entire city stretched out beneath the warm afternoon sunlight. Staff pulled out chairs, set the table, and presented dishes arranged so exquisitely that Hoai Ca hesitated to touch them, afraid she might ruin their beauty. "Go ahead and eat," her mother encouraged. "As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters." Tony was thrilled, grinning non-stop, looking at the food, then the city view, then playing with his spoon like it was a treasure. Hoai Ca's mother watched every little movement he made, her eyes full of love, longing, and gratitude toward life for giving her back these two precious people. Throughout the entire meal, she hardly let go of Hoai Ca's hand. Sometimes she squeezed gently, as if to reassure herself that Hoai Ca was truly there, that this wasn't a dream she would wake from. At one point, when Tony turned and smiled at her, her lips trembled and her eyes glistened again. All day long, Hoai Ca felt something very clearly. This woman truly loved her. Loved her enough to tear up just watching Tony play. Loved her enough to smile tenderly every time she looked at Hoai Ca, as though trying to make up for all the lonely years of her life. Happiness, warmth, and disbelief swirled inside Hoai Ca. Something within her opened and softened, as though a missing piece she had been searching for all these years had finally returned to its rightful place. Before heading home, Hoai Ca's mother brought them to a luxury apartment she was temporarily renting during her stay in Vietnam. It was one of the most upscale residential buildings in the city, the kind of place where even stepping into the lobby felt like entering a different world. Crystal chandeliers hung high above, scattering shimmering light across the space. The receptionists bowed politely with elegant professionalism, and the faint, soothing scent in the air even made Tony pause for a moment, mesmerized. When the elevator opened, her mother led them down a thick carpeted hallway. Finally, she unlocked the door to the apartment. A spacious, bright, spotless room opened before them, so clean and refined that even the smallest corner exuded luxury. The modern furniture was arranged so neatly that Hoai Ca only dared to stand near the doorway, afraid to step too heavily. The large balcony overlooked a sky full of light. Below, the city sparkled, cars moving like streams of tiny lights. Tony pressed his face against the glass, unable to look away. And there was a separate children's bedroom, something that sent Tony into a frenzy of excitement. The little room had a mini bunk bed, a cute study desk, and a toy cabinet already filled with brand new toys. To Tony, it was nothing less than a paradise. Watching Tony run around the room, laughing endlessly, Hoai Ca stood still at the doorway, her hand pressed over her chest. The feeling inside her was strange, not because of the wealth, not because she was in a luxurious place, but because for the first time in her life, she was being treated like someone truly loved, not pitted, not looked down on, not forced to bow her head for help, just loved. Her mother watched quietly, her expression soft but tinged with sorrow, as if blaming herself for every year she had missed. They stayed in the apartment for a long while. Her mother brewed tea and gently invited her to sit, then helped Tony try out a few of the toys. It was a short afternoon, but to Hoai Ca, it felt like a life she had never lived, a peaceful life, a complete one, without fear of judgment, without the constant pressure of making ends meet. When the car brought the two of them back to Hung's house, night had fallen. The narrow streets were quieter than usual, the warm streetlights stretching into long golden streaks across the road. Tony slept on her shoulder, his breathing soft and steady, while Hoai Ca remained silent the entire ride, her mind tangled with a storm of thoughts. As the car stopped at the gate, her mother gently held her hand. She looked at Hoai Ca with an expression serious, yet full of affection. "Today, I just wanted you to understand." Her voice lowered, carrying many unspoken truths. "Your life could be very different. Hoai Ca lifted her eyes. The street lamp cast a soft glow over her face, making her look even more fragile. Her heart thudded. Something was coming. Her mother inhaled deeply, then continued. Hoai Ca, I want to take you and Tony abroad to live with me. The words struck like lightning. Everything warm and peaceful just moments ago suddenly wavered. Think about it carefully and give me your answer. She squeezed Hoai Ca's hand tighter, as though afraid that letting go would make her disappear again. Her eyes were hopeful, fearful, and heartbroken, as if the very thing she wished for was also tearing at her. Hoai Ca froze. Her chest tightened. The emotions of the entire day, joy, gratitude, the warmth of being loved, all tangled into a knot she couldn't unravel. Moving abroad, living with her mother, a completely different life. But what about Hung? What about this home? What about everything she and Tony had worked so hard to build? She couldn't speak. Her eyes reddened, her breath trembling. At that moment, the front door opened. Hung stepped outside, having heard the car stop. He saw Hoai Ca standing under the yellow light, her face flushed from holding back tears, and her mother still gripping her hand tightly. A sharp ache pierced through Hung's chest, something heavy, almost suffocating. He didn't know what had just happened, but one look was enough to understand. Hoai Ca was overwhelmed, exhausted, and in desperate need of someone to shield her, the way he always had. That night, after all the lights in the house had gone out, Hoai Ca lay beside Tony, wrapping her arms tightly around him as if letting go for even a moment would cause her entire world to collapse. Tony slept peacefully, his breaths light and gentle like soft breezes gliding over a quiet lake. His round cheeks rose and fell with every breath, and just watching him made Hoai Ca's heart soften. But then, the ache inside her pulled her back into the storm of reality. Her heart felt as though someone were tearing it into two, a pain so sharp she could hardly breathe. In the darkness, thoughts flooded her mind, wave after wave, never stopping. On one side was her biological mother, the woman who had cried for her for decades. The family she had lost as a child, the embrace she had yearned for through countless lonely years. Every time she recalled the way her mother looked at Tony, eyes filled with love and regret, she felt as though she had no right to refuse any wish her mother had. Her mother had lost her once. How could she ever let that happen again? But on the other side was Tony's future. If they moved abroad, Tony could study in a better environment, receive more treatment, and live a more stable life. Hoai Ca couldn't ignore that. No matter how strong or fragile a mother is, she will always want the best for her child. That thought dug deeper and deeper into her chest, like a needle piercing the softest part of her heart. But then there was Hung. Just thinking of him made her eyes burn. Hung, the man who had stood by her through her hardest days. The man who carried Tony through his meltdowns, who lifted Hoai Ca onto his back in the pouring rain, who held her trembling hands whenever the shadows of her past returned. The man who chose her, even when she had nothing to offer. She remembered the moment he nodded to let her mother take her out. That calmness wasn't indifference. It was respect, the kind that put her happiness above his own feelings. And when he stepped outside that evening, standing under the porch light with worry written across his face, her chest tightened again. What will happen to him if I leave? The question echoed inside her until her heart felt numb. Outside the window, the moon hung high, its pale light slipping through the curtains and settling over her hair like a thin layer of mist. She closed her eyes, but the images of her mother, Tony, and Hung only grew clearer. 3 directions, 3 kinds of love, 3 lives entangled so tightly she could barely breathe. Tony shifted slightly, reaching out a small hand to grasp hers. That tiny hand felt like the only anchor keeping her steady amidst the chaos inside her. Hoai Ca tightened her grip, leaned down, and pressed a long kiss onto his forehead. "My little one, what should mommy do?" No answer came. The room swallowed her sighs in silence. Out in the living room, a dim night light was still on, and Hung sat there quietly for a very long time, though she did not know it. He didn't want to disturb her, didn't want to add pressure, but his own heart felt like it was being twisted. He knew she was crying quietly in the dark. He knew she was facing a decision far too heavy for someone who had already endured so much. In that small house, 2 people, a lonely mother and a man silently in love, were living through the longest night of their lives. What will Hoai Ca choose? A new life, where her mother is waiting with open arms? A brighter future for Tony? Or the love she is now? The peace she has finally found after years of turmoil? No one knows which way her heart will turn. Even she isn't ready to face that answer. Stay tuned for the next episode tomorrow. Hoai Ca's journey of choices has only just begun.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Mình đang viết chuyện nha mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người đã theo dõi video của mình nha. Hôm nay thì mình đang cố gắng để có thể làm việc xong sớm và làm việc hiệu quả hơn đây mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người rất là nhiều. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video sau. Bye bye.